Hi everyone, I'm Trev from Coiltek, and today we're going to do a new Tech Talk video for everyone to see. We've got a really exciting guest today where we can chat about the finds that he's had from coin and treasure through to the gold hunting that he's doing now. So let's bring him in without any further ado. Here's Mr. Luke Phillips. There he is. Luke, how are
How you
you?
going? Good, thanks, Trevor. How you going, mate?
Good, good. Luke is a Victorian prospector based around the southwest of Victoria, and he's got his own channel called Dig It Detecting. He's a mine lab detectspert as well. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing detecting for, and what's your passion?
Look, my passion is obviously the things that you unearth through metal detecting, but also metal detecting in general, getting out and actually using it. I mean, I just enjoy every part of it, every aspect of metal detecting, not only just the finds, but also, of course, the sites that you go to, the places that you would often never go to without a metal detector in your
Very
hand.
true.
So,
Yeah.
about 8 years, coming on 8 years, I've been doing it, and yeah, look, it's been a ride, especially in the last 12 months. I sort of went full time, and
Yeah.
we've been prospecting out there every day full time, and
That's a bit of a
um,
commitment, to sort of go full time. And I guess that's when you sort of really seriously started looking at the gold side of things.
100%. Yeah, the gold, of course, provides a bit more of an income rather than going chasing, the coins and relics. That's more involved with just the passion for the history, unearthing the history.
Mm,
The gold, quite often, as you know, the gold price is going up too. So,
crazy.
it's no better time to be out there hunting for gold basically rather than now. And for the last sort of 6, 7 years, I dedicated a lot of time to coin and relic
Mm,
and had a lot of extraordinary success. Over the last 12 months, I've really sort of been going as hard as I can on the gold,
yeah,
and once again, having some extraordinary success.
perfect. So how'd
So,
you get into it? Like when you first started, first picked up a detector, or how did you actually start doing that?
it actually happened. I actually had a friend come around and visit me one night, and I had not seen him for look, probably a year or two, and sort of
Okay.
got forking on what he was up to, what he was doing, and he said, "Oh, I've been out metal detecting for gold a lot," and something just clicked inside me, and I
Mm,
thought, "Why haven't I done that?" Like I
yeah,
knew
metal
about metal
detecting.
detecting, I
Yeah,
knew it existed, but
yeah,
I just had never made the jump to go and buy one and do it.
yeah.
So within a couple of weeks of seeing my friend that night, I actually had a second car, a project car that I was working on, a Holden Calais. That got quickly sold, out with one project and in with the next. And,
Yeah.
it's not so much a
The bug got
project,
you.
but yeah, the bug got me. And, I started with the gold. That was initially where I started out with a GPX 4500
Oh yeah, yeah.
and basically started out with the gold. And I still have my first gold nugget that I ever found.
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
you
How
know,
big was that one?
It was a point four, so not even, yeah, it looked tiny, tiny.
But back
Uh,
then, point four would have been, so much less. I can't even think of what it was back then. But obviously, in the
look,
well, not even $1,000, maybe 10 years ago or something like that per ounce.
that's right. Yeah, it was. I think at one stage it was only there 80 odd dollars a gram or $100 a gram, as
Mm,
opposed to what we're looking at now. Touching on the 160, 170 a gram.
yeah,
It's doubled in value. So,
yeah,
as I said before, no better time to be out there hunting gold. And there's plenty of it out there. Like there is a bit of a misconception that there's nothing left, or there's everything's gone or picked up. Uh, in my opinion, that's wrong. In
mm,
my opinion, there is quite a bit of gold left out there. It's knowing where to search, it's having the right equipment, and it's of course putting the hard work in. Like anything in life, you will only get out what you put back in.
yeah.
So
True.
the more you
That
put in,
research.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
you've got to be all over it.
So with your first
So.
4,500, then, you know, uh, you were hunting around Victoria mainly, I would presume, because it's sort of close at hand. And what sort of coils, what sort of setup did you have with that? And then when did you move through to your coin and treasure?
Uh, to be honest, stretching the memory a little bit there. I'm trying to think what the GPX 45 had on it. I just ran a standard coil, so I think
Yeah.
it had the 11-inch standard coil on it.
Yep.
I basically was on the gold to start with, and that only sort of went for about sort of 8 months, 12 months, and then I transitioned to the coin and relic. So I didn't stop metal detecting. I just changed the type of metal detecting that I was doing and the
Yeah.
sites that I was hunting, and of course the things that I was finding. So the history, the gold bug got me first, and then the history bug got me secondly.
Yeah.
Um,
What
so
was the
it's
first?
sort of
What was your first coin and treasure machine?
my first coin and treasure machine is the one sitting here right beside me right now, and it's the MindLab Equinox 800.
Beautiful.
And I credit this machine to a lot of my success over the years. I mean, yes, someone's got to drive it, but this machine has just been absolutely amazing. For coin relic treasure hunting, you can't really do better than an Equinox series. They've got out the 700 and the 900 now. But look, a 600 and 800, they're just an amazing coin relic machine.
Pioneer of
And of
those
course,
sort of multi-frequency sort of coin and treasure machines. A lot of the times before that, you had explorers and that, but more single frequency, a little bit of multi. But this is sort of, definitely took it to the next level for your detecting.
correct. Yeah, with the multi IQ frequency, obviously, as we know, it runs the multi frequencies at once. So you're not just detecting in that single frequency mode where you're running a low frequency and you might get good depth, but you might also miss out on other targets. So with the multi IQ technology built into these coin relic treasure hunting machines now, they're so much more adaptable to the ground that you're hunting on because it can cover so much more ground with so much more capabilities of picking up on all targets without missing anything because of the multi IQ frequency.
Mm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
they've
but
gotten
you
so
also
much
have the
better in that
option.
discrimination. Sorry, what was that?
Well, I was just going to say, you also have the option, of course, to jump back to the single frequency if needed. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. And the discrimination's so much more precise, isn't it? With the numbers and the tones that they've got now, it's getting more and more refined.
correct. Yeah, the target ID. I mean, the number basis system, I don't follow 100%. I mean, I shouldn't. Well, no one should really walk around, I feel, looking at the screen. I mean, it should be tone based first, and then the screen target ID is obviously a secondary a level of indication of what's in the ground, and
Yeah.
that's how I use it. I walk around detecting on tone based, so listening with my ears.
Mm.
And then it's obviously with a coin relic machine, you've got the target ID. I would then look down and look at the number, and the number is they can be quite accurate on some machines, but then you've got to remember the depth, the soil, the coil, everything can change. So you've got
Mm.
a lot of different variables basically to take into account. So that number target ID basis, as I tell everybody, it's just a guide, use it as a guide, and it can be very helpful, but you would never want to walk around going a 29 is a florin and I will not dig anything but a 29 because I'm only chasing florins, because through soil conditions or depth or whatever it be, you could just get a florin jump in at a 27 or 28 and
Mm.
it might not hit on the 29, so you might miss it. So you've
Yeah.
really got to use it as a guide, not a specific yeah
That's a good point. That's a good
ID.
point. Otherwise, people can be masking targets that are really good. I mean, I guess there's I think I got a gold ring once with an Equinox 800 that was about 15, 16, somewhere around there, and I know ring pulls can come up at that sort of number as well. So if you
Exactly.
sort of
Yep.
decide to blank something out of a number because you don't want it, you may be missing other targets that have a similar signature.
That's right. So the discrimination is absolutely brilliant on these machines, the discrimination and the separation between targets. But as you say, you don't want to be masking those signals or notching out anything and not digging it potentially because you could be losing out on a gold ring, a 15, 16, like a ring pull. But you
Mm.
also got to remember on the Equinox 800 and 600, a 15 and a 16 is also a gold sovereign,
Mm.
just like a ring pull. So once again, you were avoiding ring pulls for the day, you would potentially miss out on the gold ring and the gold sovereign. So
That's
yeah,
right, yeah. So, obviously you've got your dig detecting channel. I've watched a lot of your videos and they're very good from a first person perspective too. I think that's really cool where it sort of shows that so people can sort of feel that they're right there with you, which is excellent. And I watched a lot of the coin and treasure ones that you had first, and then we talked with you about becoming an ambassador, and you kindly agreed. So you're a MindLab Detect expert and a Coiltek ambassador. And then you had the opportunity to use some of the Coiltek products in your coin and treasure detecting. So, tell us what that transition was like, and when you did get access to these other coils, how did that increase opportunity, and what's your thoughts on that?
One of the biggest things I noticed, and from a standpoint of view, when you buy a Detect A, it obviously comes with a coil on it. We all know this. But one of the biggest things I noticed about running aftermarket coils is the separation, once again, the discrimination and the target ID is just on point. They, we'll talk about the gold coils in a second, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we'll get
the
to the
coin
gold.
relic ones, I mean, the gold coils, the sensitivity and the stableness of the coil itself is just exceptional. But you don't off, with a coin relic treasure hunting machine, you're not worrying about that threshold tone or that unstable, detector as such.
Yeah,
A lot of machines will run quite stable when you're out hunting in a paddock or a field or even in a park in town.
yeah,
And
not
it's as
not as
simple as
susceptible to EMI, so they're not wobbling all over the place like the gold machines.
that's right. You start a gold machine up in a built up area, and you wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
ID anything. It would just warble away all day. So
yeah,
you'd never be able to calm it down. Whereas your aftermarket coils, one of the biggest things I noticed, going from look, I've got the Vanquish range, the Elite Equinox range, the Manicore and what have you. So I've got a few different detectors, but coin relic detectors. But one of the biggest things I noticed, when getting them and them having the standard coils, once I opted to put on the Coiltek coils, the aftermarket coils, once again, the depth and the separation and the target ID discrimination is just, it went from being amazing to next level amazing, and once again, the gold coils, even better once again. I can't,
great,
the 11-inch standard coil, just quickly, that comes with the MindLab GPX 6000. I mean, this is a fantastic
great
coil.
coil. Yeah,
I can't dismiss this coil in any way. However, one of the biggest things I've found is since taking this coil off and running the GOLDHAWK Coiltek coil, 9-inch mono Coiltek coil, uh, I can increase my sensitivity on the GPX 6000 a lot more than what I ever could with this 11-inch coil. Therefore, it's running a lot more stable at a higher sensitivity than what this 11-inch coil could. And yes, the 11-inch coil is a little bit bigger, being bigger by 2 inches. So you'd expect a little bit more depth. But if you cannot run this coil at a high sensitivity, then effectively you're losing that depth, you're
yeah,
losing that sensitivity. So for me to drop down to a 9-inch GOLDHAWK Coiltek coil and be able to run that sensitivity right up high and not miss any targets, like I say to everybody, the GOLDHAWK Coiltek coil, it's the coil that does not miss. It
yeah,
hits
great.
everything. So yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely
fantastic.
definitely get into those gold hawks a bit later because we know you're very passionate about the detecting, but also passionate about using those coils and the right tool for the right job. So when you're talking coin and treasure, what do you think of the 18-inch coils? They were a pretty newer range for us. We For the Equinox we had the 10 by 5 and 15-inch and 14 by 9 first, and then we released the 18-inch NOX and the 18-inch Mythtech for the Manticore. So, how did you find those larger coils when you got those for your detecting and, obviously, with the coverage especially?
Yep, the coverage, of course, going from a little 10 by 5 right up to a big 18-inch coil, or even, from your 11 or 15 up to the 18-inch coil, it was obviously, covering the ground a lot more better, a lot more efficient. But I will say personal preference for me, and just my honest opinion, and I think that's what we all want to hear
Yeah,
is
yeah,
I'm a bit of a small coil kind of guy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so for me, my hunting consists of a 7, 8 hour period in a day. Very rarely do I go out for 1 or 2 hours. So for me, running a large coil, they are amazing and they're great, but a lot of the sites I hunt can be very trashy.
Mm,
So a large coil, unless you walk away from that trashy built up area and you're looking for the odd drop coin out from a house in a paddock or
mm,
what have you,
Yep.
that would be where the large coils really come into play for me and work exceptionally well,
Yep.
giving that really broad coverage.
Yeah. Open
The little
fields and that.
10 by Yeah, the little 10 by 5 Coiltek coil though, like the small coils, I must say, um, just in that period of duration of 7, 8 hours swinging all day, you don't want to get too much of a sore arm, and
Yep.
you might dig 50 or 100 targets a day,
Yep.
and you want to be able to sustain throughout that day swinging that smaller coil. So, and to be honest, I still find that the small coils still get really great depth. I mean,
Inches deep.
everything is sort of, most coins and stuff that have been dropped over the last couple of 100 years. At most sites, you'll find it's sort of within 6 or 10 inches.
Mm.
Not much really goes beyond deeper than that, unless it's been buried specifically. But the little coils, even the little coils, they're still getting that really great depth on even small silver coins like threepences or 1 and 2 cent coins and gold coins, and I mean very impressive depth. So yeah, to me,
Definitely right tool for the right job, isn't it?
100%, like you said before, using the right tool for the right site. So
And do you think,
and that
if someone was just has got an Equinox or a Manticore and using the standard core, how will they benefit, from your experience, with these different range of coils for the coin and treasure? Why should someone buy a Coiltek? What's the benefits of having different coils?
stability first and foremost,
Yeah.
like I touched on before, and not just with the gold machines. I mean, the stability straight away with the Coiltek coils, I find, is next level
Mm.
compared to the stock standard factory
Standards.
coils.
Great.
So stability would be one of your first and foremost reasons. And I mean, no one can really like detecting's hard enough, but when you've got an unstable machine, detecting becomes 10 times harder. So to
Yeah.
have a stable machine with a coil that can run a high sensitivity, provide that best depth, that to me is the most important. So, uh, you know, for someone looking to buy a Coiltek coil or aftermarket coil and get away from maybe something that was standard, when they bought the machine, I feel that depth and stability would be two of the main key factors to basically upgrade
Yeah.
from. So yeah, and as I said, you can't detect with a noisy machine. It's like
Stability's a
gold.
huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I tell everybody, you won't find gold with a noisy machine. The coin relics are a little bit different. They've got their own sort of feel, but you won't
Mm.
find gold with a noisy machine. I mean, with the coin relic machines, you can have that little bit of noise coming through, and you might be able to work with it with experience. But a noisy machine with gold, I mean, you certainly won't find much, if anything. So you need to quieten that machine down.
Yeah.
And as I said, with the 11-inch standard coil, the only way you can do that is dropping your sensitivity, which you're losing depth straight away. So
Yeah. That's
to be able
right.
to have the coils that run so stable, I think is a massive bonus.
Yeah, that's right, because it can mask those subtle signals, isn't it? Especially on the gold machines with that threshold that you're listening for the change. The coin and treasure tend to have a little bit more prominent sort of IDs with the numbers, of course, but also the signals come a little bit louder, and you're not really trying to decipher through thresholds. It's more tones, like you were saying. So, which is
Correct.
really
Yeah.
good. I guess your favorite then would be the 10 by 5 for the NOX, little 10 by 5.
Yeah, and I unfortunately don't have it with me at the moment, Trevor, because it's in my car, which my partner took to work today, so I could service her car. And I was looking for it before I had the Equinox 900, and it's on the 900 at the moment. I was looking for it before, and I thought, oh, my favorite coil, and I can't,
It's
I
out there
don't have it with
finding
me.
targets without you. There you go. You've got it on automatic mode, and it's out there finding targets for you by itself, which would be great.
It is. It is. And look, I will say the 6-inch round Minelab stock standard coil, that is a
That'd be good.
great little coil.
Yeah,
But in personal preference, I feel that the 10 by 5 Coiltek coil is just got that little bit more of an edge on it. I mean, the 6-inch
mm,
round's great for those real trashy sites and built up areas, but
mm,
the 10 by 5, I mean, you've got 10 inches by 5, you're still getting that really good depth, but you're able to poke it in and get it
perfect.
into places and under trees and logs, and it's still small enough where you're still getting good depth, but you're still able to get all that coverage and separation between targets. So I will
Definitely
say the
increases
10 by 5,
versatility. 10 by
it
5 is your
does.
fave?
10 by 5 Coiltek coil on the Equinox 900. Absolutely perfect. I wouldn't take it off. So,
Excellent.
yeah,
Well, and I just want to also just mention to people watching this that in no way do we say that our coils are better than the Mine Labs. They're different. We don't
they're
make the
different.
same size. We totally believe the Mine Lab coils have excellent ability,
Yes.
right from the gold machines through to the coin and treasure. But we make different sizes and shapes, and we do that strategically so we can help detector operators like Luke and all the others out there to optimize their finds on the ground because not one coil will do the same thing. So, Luke, would you say that you've gone back to ground where you've used the 11 and maybe used a different coil and found more targets because of that different coil size?
Most definitely. And as you say, not taking anything away from Mine Lab coils, the stock standard coils. I mean, there's a reason when you buy a metal detector from the shop and you open the box that it has that coil on the machine. There's a lot of development and engineering and time and money spent developing that coil to suit that machine. So don't think you need to rush out there and buy an aftermarket coil. It's more for, as you mentioned, the right tool for the right job.
Mm,
And by taking your detecting that little bit further, I mean, like as you just asked, have I returned to sites and found more using aftermarket coils? Most definitely.
mm.
There's actually quite a few videos on my YouTube channel now where I've done just that, and I've done tests where I've returned to sites. And one site in particular I've got in mind right now. I mean, I had hunted it for about probably 5 or 6 years. It was an old dairy farm, all abandoned, and it's all returned to cropping land now. So there's
Yeah.
nothing there, just open paddocks. But originally there was an old farmhouse there and a dairy. I've found a ton of coins and relics hunting there with the stock standard coils and Mine Lab machines over the years. Upon having Coiltek coils in later years, I've then returned to those same sites and found numerous more coins and medallions and buckles and things that pretty obvious signals that you would think that I would never have missed.
Mm.
But then again, when you've got 1,000 bottle tops in the ground mixed with glass and rusty nails and
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
things, that those things can get missed. And
Yeah.
different day, different attitude. The grass is down in a different area, a bit
Walking a
shorter,
different direction.
walking a different direction. There's a lot of variables that comes down to play, but I will say, as I said, there's videos on my YouTube channel where I've returned to sites and we've done just that, testing the Coiltek coils and seeing if we can find more. And we always come out with success. So yeah,
Absolutely. Well, we'll put all the links for Luke's to get detecting socials and YouTube in the comments below. So look out for that. Click on those, follow him. He always gets permission. We need to preface that too. If you see any of the videos where he's been detecting, is either on public land where you're allowed to do things, or he's got definite permission from the landowners to, go detecting. And we recommend everyone do that if you're out there detecting. Don't just walk onto areas thinking it's open. Do your research. Make sure it's free to go on. And if it isn't and it's on private property, do the right thing and ask the owner and make sure that you get the clearance beforehand. And if they say no, bad luck, find somewhere else. It's as simple
I
as
was going
that.
to say the worst thing you can do is get hung up on a no.
Yeah.
And over the
Yeah.
years, the hundreds of yeses that I've got, I think I may have only got a couple of no's. And
Mm,
like you said, don't ever go trespassing. I mean, if you see a fence or a gate shut, it's there for a reason.
correct.
It's someone else's land. But one of the biggest ways I've learnt to get permissions is just approaching so genuine and honest. Explain who you are, give them a handshake. And one of the biggest things too is I actually put together a portfolio. So I had some pictures of some coins and stuff that I'd found over the years, and I
Mm,
printed those pictures out and I made it into a book. So when I would approach the landowner, it was simple enough for me to introduce myself, explain who I was, what I would like to do down the back paddock. We
great.
used to be a house. I'd like to go find a couple of coins,
Mm,
and a lot of farmers. I'm very lucky where I live because I've got a lot of abandoned houses on farms. So it's just a simple matter of approaching the landowner and getting
mm,
permission to these farms.
yep.
But a lot of farmers will tell me, mate, you won't find anything. You'll be lucky to find a rusty nail or two. And then coming up from the paddock with military buttons or coins or
Yeah.
buckles or what have you, they're quite surprised. So
Yeah.
with that portfolio, one of the biggest misconceptions that the farmers would have would be, oh, you won't find anything. So with the portfolio, when approaching the farmer, I could show them some of the stuff that I had found in the past,
Mm.
and it would create a talking point, and it would also create their interest because they would see, well, you may have found coins and florins at another farm site. I'd like to see now what you can find at mine. So,
Yeah, that's right. And be
um,
honest with them, that what you find
yep,
as well, because, it is on their land. And if they say, hey, I wouldn't mind keeping that, then you do the right thing because then, you're building relationship and they might say, come back on and the next one's yours. So, and really a
exactly,
lot
yeah.
of detectorists just love the thrill of detecting and finding stuff out the ground. Sure, we all want to find a 30 ouncer like you did, Luke, and we'll get into that afterwards. We'll see that. Everyone would love to find the big one, especially on the gold side. But if you're coin and treasure hunting, there's nothing like finding a cool coin in the ground or a nice military buckle, cricket buckle buttons, Civil War relics if you're in the USA, old Roman coins. And if you
Yep,
have to hand that over to an owner, then you found that, and that's
yep.
perfectly fine. But probably 9 times out of 10, they'll say, "Nah, keep it, mate."
I I detected this site for years and years, Trevor, and the landowner's name was Tim. He is. I mean, he's still with us. He's a lovely, lovely gentleman. He's about in his 70s now, and he's a third generation look, beef farmer. He was dairy, but he went into beef and sheep. So he's a third generation farmer. He's got over 7,000 acres of land, and there's numerous sites that I hunt. As you can imagine, 7,000 acres is a lot of
Of
land,
course, massive.
and I've been hunting there for about 8 years now. And I've showed him coins that I've found, tokens that I've found. It was a bit of a gold mining township there. And his response has always been, mate, I feel like you were doing a service to the area. I mean, I've done historical talks within that
Mm.
area that I've found all
Mm,
this stuff,
that's
trying to
cool.
share back that history. But Tim's approach has always been, you're the one out there with the equipment. You're the one in the sun digging holes and finding this stuff. And if without you coming up and doing it, it would be left in the ground like it has, for amount of years and being driven over with the tractor. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, but I will say there's been some farmers like I'll always approach them with the offer to keep everything that I find or
Yeah.
anything they would like.
Yeah.
And there will be some farmers that do want to keep everything, and that's fine. It's
Yeah.
about the enjoyment of unearthing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I once found a fob watch at a farmer's property, and it had his great uncle's initials written on the back, and it was a silver fob watch, the old fob watch they
Yeah.
pull out of
Yeah.
their pocket,
Yep.
and what everything was handed back to the landowner there. Harry was his name, and Harry couldn't believe that his great uncle's fob watch was found on this farm site
Wow.
because he could never account for his great uncle ever being on the farm.
Yeah.
He reached out to his mother, who was about 90 years old, and she told the story about how the great uncle had visited the farm just once. And it was through, I mean, you got to remember this is 1930s, 1940s,
Yeah.
and he was divorcing his wife and he was getting a train to Sydney, sorry, a train ticket to Melbourne, and then catching a train to Sydney. And he visited the farm just the once to say goodbye before he left and spent the rest of his life in Sydney.
Mm,
And he must have dropped his fob watch that night. So everything went back to the landowner, Harry, and Harry was just amazed that he had his great uncle's fob watch with
that's
his
cool.
initials. And yeah, so things like that, stories like that, they stick with you. And I think it's the right thing to do. And I will say that one permission you muck up on, you'll burn that bridge.
Mm.
You do the right thing on all these permissions, and the farmers talk. And
Mm,
often that I'll find, you get permission on one farm, and then a couple of months later, you'll be hunting the farm across the road because the farmers talk. And
that's right.
um,
And they say,
yeah,
look what he found on our thing. Maybe there's stuff over there, and you might even get an invite. So,
that's right.
mm,
Yeah, often had invites, or often went across and knocked on the neighbour's door, and they said, "Oh, I've noticed you down the road, and what have you been finding?" And
brilliant.
you're most welcome to jump on my property as well. If you've been on Harry's property up the road, I'm
That's right. You build that
you can
trust.
you've built that trust. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And always take a
yeah.
Coiltek coil with you. That's the main thing that you've got to
If
do as well, because that could help you find a bit more. So, um,
oh,
so
yeah.
we'll sort of finish off with the coin and treasure. That's the end of part one. We'll move through to part two in a minute, and click the link to go to part two for the gold side of things. We'll talk about the GPX 6000 and other gold journeys that Lucas had. So tune in for part two.